How did you get into this? What was your
Yeah,
path?
what happened?
How did you like? I mean, dude, your voice is iconic. They made a fucking video game, Ready to Rumble.
Yeah.
That was
my first big check. Okay. Anyway.
that was huge.
Yeah. On not PlayStation. What was that on? It was like a special platform.
Dreamcast.
Dreamcast. Yeah, that's right.
I had it, dude.
Yeah.
And then when you got to the end, you would fight you, and you would like morph into this giant, muscular, insane fighter.
Uh,
Do you remember that?
I've been
I
told
do.
about it, but I'm not a video game
Oh, my
guy.
God.
I just took the checks, you know.
Yeah,
Mike,
of course.
too, Mike, back then you got a lot of fucking girls, didn't you? You were the man back then,
Yeah,
Mike.
no
You were
doubt.
the young,
I was
handsome
Had to be.
fucking
between after from 1972 to 1997,
All those celebrities you saw
98.
back
I was
then?
single, and those were good days to be single.
Man, what it
was,
were, I
it was
bet.
insane.
How did you get into it?
We're talking about all these fights and everything in Atlantic City, and I'm a big boxing fan, a super fan. My oldest son is probably about 12 or 13 at the time. We're watching the fights on TV. It's a split decision. The ring announcer, you remember Frank Shane?
No, I don't remember.
Frank Shane was a ring announcer. His wife, Eva Shane, was a
Eva
judge.
Shane, she's the judge.
Yeah, and her husband's Frank. And Frank used to do ring announcing. And yeah, he was a good announcer. He was, he experienced and everything. But I didn't realize that it was sort of like a common thing. A lot of guys would give a score, and instead of giving you the two different scores and saving the winner for the final score, this guy just announced score one, score two, and then you knew who won the fight. So I guess those guys at ringside were, hey, I know who won the fight. Oh, okay.
Oh, they're going to kill you, man. When they hear this,
But you knew who won the fight. And it took away
kill
that drama of like, for the winner by split decision. And no, or
Yeah.
still, you get
Yeah.
that big, man, everybody's waiting. They shut up and listen, you get that
Hell yeah.
cathedral moment, and then
Yes.
pop the crowd. So my son goes like, he literally just like, he throws a TV guide down. He's like, man, I hate that. Dad, you could do that. And at the time, I was making a living as a model, and I'd been doing some TV commercials and getting little speaking parts here and there. So I guess a 12, 13-year-old kid thought,
His
that's
dad
all
could
the
do
same
this.
thing.
Yeah.
Announcer. And I put together a resume that might have said I had experience, which of course I didn't. But the thing I pushed back then was I sent him a headshot. I didn't know that the promoters hired the announcers. I thought maybe the hotel casino did. So I contacted all the directors of entertainment in Atlantic City, and I included a headshot. It was like that James Bond sort of a look, and I said that the image of the hotel. I put this in writing like what a jerk off, but I did it, and suggested that the image of a hotel casino would have that James Bond look, a little, and so one of them bit and said asked the promoter to use me. I was dreadful. I was on USA Fights on cable. I was really, really
Who's the main
dreadful.
event? You
I was
remember the
horrible.
main event?
I remember some of the names. One of the guys' his nickname was the Hebrew Hitter.
Oh,
The Hebrew.
Herb the Hebrew Hitter something. Brad Jacobs knows exactly what his name is to this day, and I can't remember, but there was some, I don't remember any of them becoming stars, but it was 6 months before I got another chance.
Wow.
I videotaped it. I looked at it, and I said, and still to this day, I will occasionally look at a show and try to improve. I'm just very conscious of always trying to be a little bit better.
What was that first fight? What was it about it that you were like, I could do way better than that? Were you just you hadn't found your voice yet? You hadn't found your style?
Yeah. I've always tried to improve technique, on the microphone and that sort of thing. But timing and be a little more familiar with the scorecards and that sort of thing. I was for years. I used to do all the fights. Now today I just do the main event. And I would get there early. I would go to each dressing room, make sure I had the right color, the trunks and the records. And you know what I was always amazed at? Mike, sometimes you go into a dressing room and I would say, you know, the undercard guys, I'd say, is this right? 20 wins and 5 losses? And the fighter would go, well, I don't know. He'd look at his manager or his coach. He'd see, he didn't even know his own record.
Wow.
It's crazy. We used to do fights in Maryville, Indiana, French Lick, Indiana, all these crazy sites for
towns.
top rank. Yeah. And you had, you know, a lot of small town guys. I don't know if they were the best fighters in the world, but they could put on a pretty good show.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. They were fighting for their life, probably.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, yes, they were.
What was the first fight where you came up with the "Let's get ready to rumble"?
Yeah, how that happened?
You know, here's the thing.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Oh, I love it.
Excuse me one second. Let me call my lawyer.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Anyway. You know, we're in the era now in the 80s of the main event. It's music. They have speakers and it's exciting. Fighters come to the ring, you know, and the ring walk, a spotlight and everything. So you have this energy. Yeah. You know, people come, especially we would have fights in resorts in the ballroom and the theaters
Those
at
are good
the
days.
sands
Yeah,
and,
those
and
eloquent
yeah,
days.
and
We
resorts on the
elegant
stage.
days. The elegant days when we came out, we said, "Wow, look at the lights."
Yeah, and
big lights.
we would have fights
chandeliers.
in the theaters and have all these banquettes. The VIPs would all be
Tables
sitting
and
there.
stuff. Yeah,
those
eating
Vinny
food.
guys again.
Yeah,
Hey,
eating
how
food.
you doing? Look at the
Eating
guy.
Food around the ring,
And so
taking pictures.
we had ring announcers. Somewhere along the line, some ring announcers started to introduce all their buddies on the commission. You know, it would be like, and the New Jersey State Athletic Commission, State Athletic Control Board, boxing commissioner Robert Lee, and then they would introduce the chairman, the commissioners,
Yeah, and
the board
everybody.
members,
Corny shit.
the judges, of course, then all the doctors, and if it was a title fight,
Good God.
the president of the WBC, a unified fight, president of WBA too, their supervisors. You killed the crowd.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd actually
Like,
you
fuck
killed the
it.
crowd. Here's all this: the music, the lights that come out. It's exciting. Fighters are ready. Mike is in there, ring like this, going like this.
Yeah.
And you've taken away all that energy.
The energy's just
right,
sucked
right.
out.
So, one of the greatest expressions that gets a crowd energized is, "Gentlemen, start your engines." Man, and I did that at the Indy 500, and the place goes nuts. Okay, I wanted something that for the stars of the show. When I grew up as a kid, I used to love to watch the baseball all-star game. And they'd announce each player,
everybody, yeah.
and they'd line up on third base and first base. And I just thought that was so exciting to see the stars of the show, and the place would go nuts, you know. So to me, I wanted the audience to be pumped up for the guys that just came out and are going to go out there and do their thing and been training for 6 weeks. The fighters, they're the stars.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to come up with a hook that would let the audience know, okay, I introduced all this bullshit. Now I want you to get back in line and give these guys a hand. And I tried, ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seatbelts. You know, like nothing was happening. Man your battle station. You know. And of course, the great Ali was famous for saying, you know, "I'm so pretty, I'm ready to rumble, rumble, young man, rumble." And Boudini Brown would join in, you know, and they'd go with "float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, rumble, young man, rumble." Ah!
So good.
Yeah. So I started to say, "Let's get ready to rumble." And it's nothing like you hear today. You know, I would just say, you know, "Let's get ready to rumble. 10 rounds of boxing in the middleweight division." I didn't want it to be like, hey, I'm trying to make something out of myself, but I wanted something to get the crowd energized. And a few years later, when I started doing shows all over the country, I met a guy out here in L.A. named Jody Berry, who's since passed away, and he was a singer. Used to be the opening act for Ella Fitzgerald, and supper clubs were real big in the 50s and 60s. And this guy was like, he was Mr. Show Business. He always had the cufflinks and wore an ascot and had the Clark Gable mustache,
Wow.
pompadour, you know. Great guy. And we were out drinking one night, and he's had a few, and he says, "Buffer, when you say, let's get ready to rumble, shut the fuck up. I'm like, Jody, what? I said, people want to react. And this is coming from a guy that performed on stage live and everything. It's the best advice I ever got. It was the best advice I ever got. It made a big difference, because then I started, instead of saying, let's get ready to rumble, 10 rounds, I started saying, let's get ready to rumble. And then it was, let's get ready to rumble, and it grew, and I shut up, and the audience would react. And of course, when we started doing Mike's fights in the late 80s and early 90s, and with Spinks and the fights in Atlantic City, it became pretty popular, and it made a big difference.
Dude, it was awesome. It's one of my favorite sayings in all of sports.
It's been such a blessing for me.
You made boxing big again by that age. That made boxing big again.
It makes my skin fucking.
But I say I've been blessed. I've done it for Stanley Cup championships, World Series, NFL playoff games, home openers for the seasons for different sports, NBA championships. It's
You're the go-to guy, crazy. Man.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's so awesome.
It's a great way to start off a sporting event, and for me, it's just very exciting to be there and enjoy that stuff.